Let's face it, where I'm from in the UK basically borders Sweden. I mean, we don't, but we might as well do with that close neighbours. And for that reason, it's easy to see why when I first moved here to Sweden, I wasn't really prepared for that much of a culture shock. You would think that Sweden and the UK are quite close geographically, we're both European nations, we're both westernised nations, things should be quite similar, right? And whilst I'd be lying if I didn't admit that there are plenty of similarities between the UK and Sweden, there are also lots of things that make these countries poles apart. For that reason, when I first arrived here in Sweden, there were lots of things that took a little bit of acclimatizing to. So I guess you could say that since coming here to Sweden, I'm a changed person, a completely new human being. I mean, in the winter times, you'll catch me taking an ice bath before work every morning. In the evening times, you'll catch me in the sauna chilling out with my neighbours. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm probably drinking at least 10 cups of coffee a day. Okay, maybe it's only the last one of those that has a little bit of truth in it, but it's more like 4 cups instead of 10. But jokes aside, I thought it'd be fun today to count down 5 of the ways that Sweden has changed me. How have my habits changed since I moved to this country? And how has it had an impact on my life? Today, I'm going to be sharing some of my favourites, so I hope you're ready. Number 1, and the only real place I could begin this video, is buffets. And I'm sure that this is one of those things that some of you guys out there are going to be very familiar with. I'm looking at you, my American viewers. But seriously, hear me out with this one, guys, because I guarantee that where you're from in the world, geographically speaking, will define your attitude towards buffets. And here I'm talking about these restaurants that you go to, and there's plates and plates of different foods. You get your plate and you can just go and fill up with whatever you like as many times as you like. And let me tell you what, Sweden is one of those countries that errs on the side of loving buffets. If you go to any of the big cities in the middle of the day, on the working days, sometimes even at the weekends, you will find plenty of restaurants serving all types of buffet foods where you can fill your plates, fill your boots, have a great time for a set price. And it's really normal here in Sweden that comes with often a coffee and maybe some fika at the end as well, some sort of sweet treat for you to enjoy, maybe even a drink. It's a package deal and it's probably going to set you back about 100 to 150 crowns for the package. And let me tell you what, if I was to say that if you were coming to the UK and you asked me to recommend somewhere for you to go for your lunch, I can guarantee you that a buffet restaurant would not be in my first 100 choices. And that tells you exactly what we think of buffets in the UK. And let me tell you what, I'm really not sure where this bad rep for the buffet comes from in the UK, because I definitely see the pluses, and there's a lot of them. I mean, everybody in the party gets exactly what they want to eat, they can eat as much as they want, they can fill their boots, nobody is left out or feels like they have to compromise their choices. But somehow in the UK, we just don't really like buffet food. It's got a really bad reputation as kind of coming off as a kind of place that serves all sorts of different types of food, but isn't really good at any of them. So you can imagine how much it caught me off guard when I started coming to Sweden and suddenly everyone wanted to take me out for buffets all the time. Whether I was at work, whether I was with friends, everyone was saying, let's go to that buffet restaurant, or have you tried this buffet in town? And I was gobsmacked. And whilst we're on the topic of how the buffet has entered into my daily life, the other thing that's come with it is the fact that you always seem to have a slice of bread with your food. But being honest with you, I have to say, these days I've even caught myself guarding a little slice of bread as I'm eating my buffet, so I guess it's changed me there too. The second way that Sweden has changed my daily routines is definitely for the better in my opinion, because these days if I'm going about town doing my business, you will find that if I get to some traffic lights and they're not green, I will stand and wait. And before you start judging how I was brought up, don't worry, I was taught my Green Cross code as a kid at school, but you have to remember that before I moved out to Sweden, I was working in London. And as a result, if you live in a city like London and you want to cross the road, you have to fight for your right to do so. You can't afford to just stand around and wait for the lights to change all the time. You'd be standing around all day. You'd never get anywhere. Fast forward to these days, and it doesn't seem to matter how busy I am, I will always stand there, click the button, wait for it to turn green before crossing over, even if the road is empty. And that is unheard of in the UK. Some of my English friends have even laughed at me when they've come to visit, when they wonder why I'm forcing us to stand still and wait for the lights to change when the entire street is empty. And whilst I'm sure there's exceptions to this, just like there always are, I'm convinced that lots of my Swedish viewers out there can agree with me that it's more normal here that you wait around until the lights change. Lots of people respect the rule. The first time I noticed how much this had affected my daily routine was the first visit I made back to the UK after moving to Sweden. It was about 3 or 4 months in, and it was a super early start, you guys. I got up at like 2 a.m. I was super tired. I felt like I'd been drugged or something. I arrived in London at about 8 in the morning and got to London Liverpool Street in the centre of the business district just about 9 o'clock, when there's loads of people rushing about. Everyone's running to the office. There's so much traffic. traffic. I got to the traffic lights when I came out of the tube station, I clicked and I waited, and I only then realised that everybody else was crossing back and forth, and it was just me stood on the side of the road on my own. So thank you, Sweden. I guess you could say that you have made me a more rule-abiding citizen. And is that such a bad thing? The third thing on my list here today of the ways that Sweden has changed my daily routines is that I'm a lot more active here than I was back in the UK. I work out a lot more, and it seems to be something that's ingrained in the culture and the fabric of society here. Granted, of course, there are exceptions to this one. There are people here in Sweden that aren't active at all, and I'm sure I'm impacted by the fact that my girlfriend and her family are super active, probably more active than most. But even with that aside, I get the impression that Sweden is a more active society than the UK. What do I mean by that? Well, I have to say, in the UK, if you want to work out, it's something you have to try and fit into your day, or that's how it feels at least. Whereas here in Sweden, it feels like it's something that's already built in. There's time allocated for that. Take the workday, for example. There's plenty of people that I've met here in Sweden that take a longer lunch break to go out and have a run or hit the gym. Whereas in the UK, we don't really do that so much. People might nip out for a quick 20-minute run if they get the opportunity, but you don't reorganize meetings around that or suit your schedule so you can be active. And all you have to do is join me on one of my evening runs, and you would see for yourself that I'm not the only one by any stretch of the imagination. There are plenty of Swedes out and about getting those blood levels pumping high. They want to be active, and it's really something that has affected me and the way that my routines are lived now that I'm here in Sweden. Talking about being active, the fourth thing on the list today of the things that have changed for me in my habits since I moved to Sweden is swimming in lakes in the summer. And I'm sure that this has got something to do with the fact that the freshwater lakes here in Sweden tend to be looked after a lot better. They're not so contaminated, they tend to be a lot cleaner. But something that I noticed when I first moved to Sweden is that I was spending a lot more time in the summertime meeting up with friends, swimming in our local bodies of water, and that's not something you really do in the UK. It's something that we actively avoid. During the summertime in the UK, if you want to swim, you go down to the beach and do it in the sea, or you find a water park or an outdoor swimming pool. It's not normal that you just pop down the lake. In fact, lots of lakes actually advise you not to go and swim there, whereas that's not what it's like here in Sweden. But either way, these days, I can't wait for summertime to get down there, get in my swim shorts and jump in the local lake. I don't care, I want to explore them all. I think it's really fun. And talking about the sun leads me on to the fifth and final thing that shows how my habits have changed since I moved here to Sweden, and that is how much I now worship the sun. Don't get me wrong, I've long thought that I should have been born in Spain or Greece or somewhere, because I've always enjoyed the sun. It's just somewhere that I want to be. It makes me feel happier. But since being in Sweden and experiencing the dark winters, now I love it even more. We've made no secret on this channel that Sweden can be a dark place in the winter time. In fact, sometimes you won't see the sun for 2 months at a time. It won't even once peek its head round from behind the clouds. So you can imagine why when it comes to March time and it's the first time of the year that the sun is out again, there's lots of old people in all of the big cities that go and stand outside shop fronts with their backs against the glass, really absorbing and worshipping that sunshine. And you guys, don't knock it until you've spent 2 or 3 winters here in Sweden for yourself, because I have to admit, I see where it comes from. I've even caught myself sometimes when the sun pops out and you see that blue sky for the first time in 3 months, looking up at the sun, closing my eyes and just basking in that heat. It's something that you've missed and you really need back in your life. And with that, we've reached the end of this video about 5 of the ways that living in Sweden has changed me and my routines. I would love to hear what you guys think down in the comments below. Are these things that you also noticed if you moved to Sweden recently for the first time? If you're Swedish yourself, are these things that you'd thought about before, or are there other things that you think maybe might have changed me more that I've not really thought about yet? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll be really looking forward to reading through some of those. And then once you're done, drop me a like, subscribe if you haven't done so already, turn on that notification bell, then you'll be the first person to know as soon as a new video goes out. And believe me, there's so much content at the minute that you won't want to miss it. But until I see you guys next time, thanks for watching another video. I really appreciate all your support, and I'll see you guys again soon. Have a great day, and goodbye guys.